Hey everyone, I'm Clark Neal from Unicoi Preserves. Welcome to the Ingles table. When the holidays roll around, those tried and true family favorites start appearing on the table, and that's what we've got for you today. I'm going to show you how to make my espresso rub standing rib roast. Let's get started. First of all, we're going to make a spice rub out of some spices that is going to crust the outside of this beautiful roast. And a quick tip, I use an old, reuse a spice jar that's been cleaned out and a funnel, and just dump all my ingredients in there, shake it up to combine it, and it makes it easier to sprinkle on the rub. So I've got some kosher salt here, some black pepper, some granulated garlic. Here's my twist. This is instant espresso powder. Find this on the bacon aisle in your local Ingles. Got a little bit of cumin. Some turbinado or raw sugar. And I've got some dried rosemary here. It comes in long pieces. I'm going to put it in my mortar and pestle and grind it up a little bit. It helps it adhere to the roast a little bit if you kind of make it a little powdery. That looks good. Dump that in. I'm going to put the lid on this, give it a good shake. Just want to combine it well. And this is a beautiful 3-bone standing rib roast that I got from my local Ingles. You can ask your butcher to trim it for you in the store. They'll be happy to do that. I actually trimmed this one myself. But what we're going to do, I'm just going to put it over here on the sheet pan to sprinkle the rub on it, because it makes a little bit of a mess. We're going to liberally season this roast on all sides, including underneath on the bones. Want to get a nice crust on there. You're going to reserve a little bit of this rub because this is also going to season the vegetables that this roast is going to roast with. This is a 3-bone roast. You can get larger or smaller depending on how many people you're expecting for the holidays. A good rule of thumb, 1 bone will feed 2 people, sometimes more. Depends on how big their appetite is and how big you cut it, but that's a good estimating tool, 2 people per bone, because who doesn't like a little leftovers? All right, you want it nice and heavy on there because this is the only seasoning that's going on the roast, and it's a big roast to season. Make sure you get all sides. Okay. What we're going to do now, take our roasting pan, wash my hands real quick. I've got 5 large carrots that I diced and quartered, not diced, just rough chopped and quartered. This is 2 pounds of assorted new potatoes, rinsed and rough chopped as well. Season with a little bit of olive oil. I got some sprigs of fresh rosemary and oregano that are going to go down in the vegetables to season this with. I'm going to sprinkle that reserved rub over the vegetables. I'm going to get in there with my hands because that's my favorite set of tools. Season them a little bit more. And the roast is just going to sit right on top of these vegetables. So I've got the oven preheated to 500 degrees. I know that sounds like a high temperature, but what we're going to do is sear this off at the beginning of the cook for 30 minutes, reduce the temperature to 300 degrees to let it finish cooking gently from the inside out so you've got an even color all the way through your roast. I'm going to put this in the oven for 15 minutes, rotate it and then cook it for 15 more. All right, the roast is in the oven. I've got the timer set for 15 minutes. I'm going to flip it halfway for another 15. I'll come back and show you what it looks like after it's been in for 30. All right, y'all, I just heard the timer go off on the oven. It's been in for 30 minutes. I'm going to pull it out and let you see what it looks like. Then we're going to drop the temperature of the oven to 300 degrees to finish the cooking. Let me grab it for you. So you see this beautiful color that we have on this? Don't be scared of this. What this is, we've cooked it at a high heat to get this beautiful crust on it. We're going to drop the temperature to 300 degrees to finish the cooking lower and slower so it gets a chance to get that beautiful color from edge to edge on the inside when you slice it. But you want to get a chance to get a nice crust on it, and a lower temperature just won't do that. So what we're going to do is put this back in the oven at 300 degrees. I like to leave my oven door open for a couple of minutes to let all that hot air come out so you don't put it back in and it's still 500 degrees in there. So we're going to cook it until, I like this close to medium, so I'm going to cook it till it's about an internal temperature of 135 degrees. There will be carryover cooking. What that means is when this comes out of the oven, I'll take it out of this pan and put it on a sheet pan, tint it loosely with foil, let it rest for 30 minutes. That allows the juices to redistribute through the meat, so when you cut it, it doesn't just run all out over the board. And also to let that carryover cooking continue and finish off. When it comes out of the oven, we're going to throw these vegetables back in at 400 degrees to let them get a little color on them because they've been sitting underneath this roast. That lets the vegetables caramelize during the time that the roast is resting. So don't be afraid of this nice brown color when you pull it out after only 30 minutes. Just know it's going to take another couple hours for it to get done to your internal temperature. So I'm going to set the oven for 300 degrees and put it back in. So here we have it. The roast is rested for 30 minutes. It cooked again at 500 degrees for 30 minutes. We lowered the temperature to 300. It took about another 2.5 hours for this roast to get done to an internal temperature. But now it's all rested and plated up. I'm getting ready to carve this. But this is, I got some horseradish and some au jus to serve it with, traditional sides to accompany this beautiful roast. The roasted vegetables that roasted alongside the roast in the roasting pan here on the side as well. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today at the Ingles table. And thanks to our friends at Ingles Meat Department for this amazing stand-in rib roast. Make sure and check out the rest of the site for more great tips, tricks, and recipes. Happy holidays.